going on and all that.
Sure.
To get that, usually.
Yeah,
Sometime.
I would like to call this meeting to order.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Make yourselves comfortable. Thank you. Welcome, Don. We were expecting you. Okay. I just called the meeting to order. Are there any announcements? Not hearing any. John, Mr. Engineer, who's with us electronically?
President Mike Klein, West Washington County.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mr. Klein?
Yep, I'm here.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Okay,
What's that?
here's an electronic handshake to you, sir.
Yes, you too.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
So moved and seconded.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
It is approved. Public forum. Anybody wishing to speak? Now, Mr. and Mr. Gearling are here. And I don't know if you want to say anything where there's a particular issue that may or may not come up, but if you want to just be wonderful spectators, we appreciate that as well.
I think
Very
you're
good.
just spectators.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like that. Let's see then. Okay. So. Any of the managers have anything regarding the consent calendar? There's a lot of items here. And I'm gonna bring up a little issue, mainly for curiosity, but I'm gonna talk about this. Anything? Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
It is approved. Okay, now my little information, I don't know if I can ask you to do this, but I've been kind of out of curiosity, looking at the square footage, the impervious square footage that we have been acquiring over the years, and more recently, it seems like it's up. And I was wondering if that's data that can somehow be used or at least examined. I was wondering if that's easy for you to collect, if there's something that you can do, if you've got a program or something where you could say, hey, what's going on? And then compare that to the surfaces that we have, to see how there's a growing impact, and for our constituents to be aware. Does that make sense?
Mr. President, I can talk to some of our EIS folks to see if they could easily calculate changes in impervious surfaces over time.
That would be wonderful. At this point, it's a curiosity, but, I think that's how TV would have been. Sorry.
Just,
Yes,
just
sir.
a comment on that part of it. I know DNR does the impervious surface
Oh, okay.
kind of evaluation, but it's such a broad one, and I think their criteria is if there's any impervious surface in the area that we're talking about, then we count it as all impervious. Whereas I think we as a watershed district are dealing with, how much actual watershed district, I don't know whether they're able to do a lot with that or not. That would be my preference, is to actually see something that
Yes,
talks about the details.
that's what I meant.
Thank you.
What the impact that we're having. Okay. At your leisure, sir. Very good. Okay. Updates and requests. Let's go to our business and reports. Anything from our advisory committee? Gone. Okay. Business reports. Administrator engineer permit 2025-25. Culvert replacement. John, take us there, please.
Mr. President, managers, including your meeting packets, review memo for this project. The reason it's not on the consent calendar is because I had a couple questions that I'd like to get input from the managers on. The project is fairly straightforward. Private culvert just has failed. flat and the property owner would like to replace it. The property is right on the corner, or right on the border between the city of Brant and the city of Plain Spring. But the address is from the city of Brant. The replacement plan, we looked at the hydrology, hydraulics, and it does not change the hydrology of the wetlands or the peak discharge rates within the site. The main question I have is really regarding easements, that the managers have discussed at several other meetings. The parcel is quite large, and that's included maybe the fourth page, the last page of the map. And there are quite a few wetlands on the site, a large one on the south side, a smaller one where this driveway culvert is being replaced, and there's some other pockets, depressions. French rules would say that permit applicants need to provide drainage easements up to the 100-foot elevations for all wetlands, low areas, streams, lakes, what have you. So I'd like input from the managers, if the managers would like this property owner to apply for a variance, or if you want to waive that requirement without a variance, or if you want to require that those drainage easements, if you could give me a little bit of input, and then I could have a conversation with the landowner.
Is there anything the managers would, go ahead, sir?
Well, I'm the one to speak on this. This has kind of been my issue. And this is a classic one where he comes in for a permit for a culvert. And we're gonna hit him with a huge easement thing, but you know, because it's in our rules. And so he's gonna have to hire a surveyor to identify.
does?
He'd have to hire somebody. He's gonna have to come up with a legal description of the boundaries of this easement.
Okay.
He's gonna have to hire an attorney to go, draft the easement. Yep, draft the easement and take it to the courthouse and get it recorded. And all because he came in to get a permit for a culvert, and that's the issue that I've had with these. And so I guess one question I had for John right off bat is the person aware of this yet? Have there been any conversation with them about this? And
As President Manager Brock, he did contact me to just find out if you need to get a permit. He had also talked to the DNR, because these are DNR water wetlands, so that's the
Right.
from the DNR. I told him that the Watershed District might require a drainage easement, but I would get information from the board on whether that would be required.
Sure. I mean, we don't have a waiver request. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't feel comfortable just changing anything without some input from the landowner.
Well, let's weigh this. How prominent the nature of our easement? Do we really need that? Is it a big deal to us? Is it going to help our future? You know, we've talked about this where the piece of property on the that the landowner has, if we're requiring an easement on something that's not used, or something that has of little value for our purposes, then we are thinking, because we don't have policy on this yet, to allow that and to not pursue the easement, to provide relief for the landowner.
Mhm.
But in this case, this might be a different issue, right? Or no? Help me. Counselor?
My advice is always that, it's your rules and everybody should be treated the same.
Right.
Your rules do say, and I'm reading directly from the permit memorandum review, which is taking the rules, that there could be, it says in some situations, for example, permits for beach sand blankets, the managers may waive this requirement, which is the easement requirement. So there is some discretion. What I am concerned about is that it would ever be viewed as subjective. We like this, we don't like this. You know, that's just not how government is supposed to proceed, my professional opinion. So I'm not saying you can't, But if you choose to waive it without requesting a variance, please make sure that those reasons and rationale are very well stated so we can get them in the minutes. Otherwise, you could have the permit applicant, you could approve it and have the permit applicant request a variance because the permit or the easement doesn't have to be recorded until prior to permit closeout. So the project could begin without it. But I'm gonna leave up to the managers whether you prefer a variance application request or if you want to waive it with very, very good reasoning.
Yes, ma'am. So again, I ask you gentlemen to help me on this in that the priority, what's the word I want to use? How important is this to us
Mhm.
if we require it? Mr. Brock?
See, that's my opinion is that
Yes.
what is the value of this easement to us and what's it going to do for Valley Branch watershed as far as protecting water quality or, natural hit? And if we really believe that there is a need for this easement, it just, in my mind, it's something then, because there's no nexus between this and this culvert replacement, a totally separate piece of the property. Well, it does it comes up to it, but it has nothing to do with the culvert replacement. If, in my mind, if we really believe we want this easement, it's something that I believe we should be paying for.
Yes, sir.
It seems to me we're kind of in the information gathering stage. Okay, let's get some real world examples of, here's why it's not working the way we want it to work.
Yeah.
Good point.
And under those circumstances, I would favor having a variance and therefore documenting in the variance, here's why we're giving the variance. That gives us some substance in terms of making changes to the rules that say, here's how we're changing the rules. I would not be adverse to waiving the fee of doing the variance as well. So,
Yeah.
I think that way we're continuing to encourage people to, follow the rules, get a permit, but we're not being, excessively harsh on people because they have done it in ways that really have no purpose. But we're documenting that.
Right. I saw it as, okay, no, we put in the easement, no surety, but they get that back. So they would be burdened with their requirements. So it sounds like the variance is very appealing.
Mhm.
Mr. Engineer, I'd like for you to weigh in on this. What's going on?
Well, I think this has been a great discussion. It would be helpful in possibly updating the Valley Branch rules to make it clear when
Yeah.
the managers want to easement and when it might not be required. Just wanted to point out some details in case, I don't know if it's necessarily relevant. It's too bad we don't have a display tonight, but if you look on this page of the memo,
Yeah,
the areas that are shaded in a light blue, like aqua green kind of color, that's the parcel. And the driveway culvert is connecting these two wetlands at the far northwest corner of the parcel. So if the managers would want an easement, there would need to be an easement over the wetland that's on the east side of Ideal Avenue. But then the parcel goes south and there's this larger wetlands to the south. To follow the Valley Branch rules, there would also have to be a drainage easement over that wetland that he's not working anywhere close to. And then he owns a small area on the east side of the Gateway Trail. And I think that there's probably some more areas over there that would be required to have drainage easements. You follow the rules. The other detail that may or may not come into play is that because this is a cross community issue,
Right.
going from city of Grant to city of Pine Springs. The watershed district does require that there be rate control, basically at all border crossing between communities. And so that may or may not affect your decision on whether to require these.
But there's no concern with that at this point, right?
No, what really controls the rate of this wetland complex is a swale within the city of Pine Springs to the west of the wetland. And in the past, there's been a beaver dam in that area, and I know the city has cleaned it out. And that's really the high point of all of the two wetlands that controls the rate out of the wetlands.
And I suppose the beavers didn't get a permit.
I don't think so.
I know. Boy, they get all the break.
So.
Yes, sir.
What I understood from council was that we could approve this tonight, but then at a later date, come back and revisit the easement requirements prior to closeout. Is that what I heard?
What about the variance?
If you approved it this evening, the easement would be a requirement. But you could let the property owner know that you are open to reviewing a variance application. And they could submit one.
Okay,
Would you like me to make a motion?
indeed, I would. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve permit 2025-25 as it reads, and also instruct John to visit with the owner and make the owner aware of the variance process and the easement requirements, and tell him we would be open to reviewing a variance on the easement issue.
That sounds reasonable to me. I will second that motion. It's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
It is approved. John, please contact the gentleman. Thank you, sir. Okay. Let's move on to our next item. It's going to be the 2025 budget review. Yes, it is. Okay. This one's kind of interesting. John, please lead us.
Sure. Mr. President, managers, there's a short memo in the packet. That reviews the status of your 2025 budget. And this is outcome of the managers wanting to review it somewhat early in the year based on discussion that you had on water quality studies and potential implementation of those. So the first table on page 1 shows a summary of where things are at, and you can see that there's a large budget for implementation of projects from future water quality studies. That hasn't been allocated to anything yet. Then continuing on the second and third page, there's a summary of the water quantity budget. So flood-like projects. And here's where the big unknown is, and that'll be discussed a little bit later tonight too. In the last few weeks, I've had several phone calls of residents who are very interested in the Watershed District's voluntary acquisition program. And as the managers approved, Attorney Torseth is working with the appraiser to appraise some of those homes, and I've had requests for additional appraisals. So it's really unclear how much money the managers might spend if the managers choose to acquire all the homes where homeowners are interested in the program. If all of the homes were purchased by the Watershed District at the Washington County appraised value, the managers don't have enough budget this year to do that.
Right.
Under the current budget item. So that then if the managers want to purchase a large sum of those homes, then you might want to move some of your water quantity budgets into your water quality budget. You might want to negotiate with the landowners, like what the managers did with another property owner, where you give a certain percentage of the money up front, and then a different percentage at closing. So I think that the point of this memo is really just to get the managers maybe more up to speed on how things are shifting and how things could land later on this year. We'll continue to update the managers. If the managers would like to make a decision on possibly moving any budget items, I would welcome that discussion, but I'm not really asking for that tonight. I'm just trying to get the managers' current information.
Right. Do any of the managers have anything? I've got a couple of items. Go ahead, sir.
One real general brief question. I think I know the answer already, but given our bonds and the funds we have set aside, I assume there are plenty of funds available in to do this outside of this year's budget? If moving into next year's budget?
There's not, there's around, I think, $1.6 million left in bonds. If all of the homes were to be purchased, where they've expressed interest, that sums up to $4 million.
Okay.
So with that said, there's a chance we do have to unload this money, a certain amount
Mhm.
by November, right?
Right, right.
So I was
And-
thinking,
And
yeah,
that would cover the amount that we need to
exactly. And so
spend
we could
down.
prioritize the Legion people, unless the folks in Sunnybrook Lake, because that was the first place we started. Whatever the case, we prioritize these and then spend these monies, and assuming everybody goes along with it, we're covered there.
Yeah.
For that.
I think we need to have a discussion about how we prioritize.
Okay.
Amongst those homes, if we're getting that number of people that are interested.
So
Um,
my first guess on that is, who is in the position of experiencing the greatest danger of flooding?
mhm.
Who would be in that place? Mr. Inspector, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think we've all seen the effects of flooding had on the Legion Pond area.
Yes, sir.
On those home sites, and
Yes.
certainly the same in Sunnybrook Lake. There's nothing threatening. Obviously, the last 3 years with our precipitation down, there's nothing
Right.
threatening right now, but I'm not sure on the Sunnybrook Lake, which homes. I'd have to look at a map. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't know these addresses.
We can provide that information to the managers on what the 100-year flood elevation is and what their
Where they're at.
is, so that
Yes.
if that's a criteria that you'd like to use. I think also legal counsel might want some of these discussions to be held in a closed session because they involve real estate transactions, and I don't know what details should be talked about in closed session compared to open.
Will we have to meet in your office, Counselor?
Well, what we would do, and I think, so right now, there are appraisals that are being prepared. And so when those are reviewed, that will definitely be in a closed meeting, because
Right.
Mhm.
Minnesota law requires that. So it could either be before or during that the managers review those appraisals, but then come up with some kind of criteria. I don't think the criteria needs to be not public information. But if there's a strategy or it comes to place into negotiations, those are also conversations that can be held in a closed meeting. And then after closed meetings, a summary is supposed to be provided in the minutes for the next month. But ultimately, I don't think that the strategy or the criteria that the managers develop overall needs to necessarily be withheld from the public, but I think that but I certainly think that conversation could occur during the review of the appraisals, and then some kind of policy is developed.
Seems simple enough. Now, just one quick item, unless you gentlemen don't have anything you'd like to say, earlier, excuse me, as part of this on page 2 regarding, that's gonna be a separate conversation. The alum treatment, the Downs Lake situation, and what we're going to determine with how we're going to go about it, with the alum treatment or, the filtration system or both or whatever, and how much, Washington County, I'm being nice, wants to partner with us, and I get it, but it does seem like a trifling amount. Maybe I'm being unfair. But am I correct on those?
Yeah, so that's
That's another-
that's the next agenda item, but.
Okay.
So. On page 1 and top of page 2.
Yeah.
The line item budgets for the water quality, water quality. So if the managers would like to move forward this year with the Downs Lake project, either the Lake Allen project or the filtration project or both, it would come out of one of those budget lines.
Right.
How it was calculated and what Washington County's participation level might be is based on how much phosphorus their project would be creating and would need to manage of the overall project. And so the overall project is reducing phosphorus a lot.
Right.
Their project's only contributing a small amount. That's why their dollar contribution guesstimate that we provided.
Okay.
Is so small.
Fair enough. You squared me away on that. So it seems at this point, using the phrase bang for our buck, that maybe, I don't know if we're going to do that at this meeting, but it'll certainly come up. That we're going to go with the alum treatment because it has a good longevity and is fairly effective as far as I understand.
Mr. President, that's what the managers talked about in December was
Okay.
to first do the Lake Allen project and see how the lake responds. And if necessary, then do the filtration project.
And Goose Lake has been treated already. Both,
Mr.
Just
President,
first one?
just one, and
Okay.
the second treatment will be in 2026.
okay, so at this point, FYI, it seems,
I think overall, I think it's definitely on budget and we should know more information within a month with all the appraisals that the managers have ordered.
so we're more or less up to speed,
Mhm.
and then we can make a move. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Yeah,
All right.
I would hope that'll be when I'm back. I'd like to be.
Where are you
invited.
going this time?
It's Florida.
These guys go to places, they scare me. Okay. Are we okay then? For now? Okay, then we can consider this taken care of for the evening. And we'll move on to the permit for CSAH 15 Manning from CR 10 to Union Pacific. This is part of the this situation. And at this point, do we need to give you direction on this? Because this is part of this, so we do need to move on this one.
So Mr. President, we talked with Mike Klein at a meeting maybe 6 weeks ago or so.
Is that Mike still listening in on us?
Mike is listening in and Kevin Peterson from Washington County is in the audience in person.
How are you, sir? Good. Vikings fan, huh?
Yes, sir.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Washington County is planning to make some improvements to Manning Avenue. And there aren't great sites within Washington County right away for providing the required stormwater treatment. And so managers discussed possibly working with Washington County to do an MOU so that when Washington County, a memorandum of understanding. So when Washington County does a larger project on Manning Avenue, that you just delay any stormwater management needs now until that larger project is done. We've worked with Washington County on a draft MOU and discussed it with Attorney Forsyth, and I guess maybe we misunderstood or didn't hear. Washington County isn't planning to do the full reconstruction of Manning Avenue until
2040,
2040.
Right.
And so that just seemed like too long of a delay in not having stormwater management there. And Attorney Forsyth wasn't comfortable with that long of a separation between the creation of the need for stormwater management and then the actual implementation. So we reported that back to Washington County. Washington County understood the council's position there. And now Washington County has asked, well, is there an opportunity to partner with the Watershed District on this in-lake alum treatment or in doing some stormwater management on the larger swale that comes into Downs Lake from the West Lakeland side of the road. So talking with Attorney Torset, sounded like she would be possibly comfortable with that if that project were implemented within a short period of time, maybe within 5 years or so. So the questions before the board are, do you plan to implement one of those Downs Lake projects? Do you plan to implement the in-lake alum? Do you plan to implement the stormwater management? And if you do plan to implement those, would you be willing to work with Washington County so that they pay for a percentage of the benefit of those projects?
well, there's no question there. Off the top of my head, we're looking again for the immediacy. And this is what we want to do, and this is what we do. So it seems to me that hands down, our implementing the alum treatment is probably the way to go. Who knows what's going to happen in 15 years, right? You might be hit by an asteroid, right? Yeah.
You still gonna be president?
As long as I eat right, keep losing weight, huh? Huh? What do you think? President for life. Wait a minute, that happened to Caesar. Okay. Yeah, you were talking about number 2 on these 3 steps, and it seems simple enough that Washington County would be kind enough to share some funds with that so that we can make it as close to 391K as possible. Gentlemen? Sure.
Was Downs Lake the one in Tyler's presentation that was quite a ways upstream?
Vice President Tyler presented on the Downs Lake improvement feasibility study. I didn't quite understand your question about.
We had a number of different possibilities for BFPs, and one of them was a ways to the north.
He looked at 3 different options. 2 of them were close to the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Closer to Lake Village. The cost benefit was high cost for little benefits of those compared to in a swale close to Manning Avenue in West Lakeland Township, where a lot of the drainage area that feeds into Downs Lake goes through that swale. And so his concept that he presented to the board was a offline iron enhanced sand filtration system that would treat probably 80% of the runoff that gets into Downs Lake before it gets into Downs Lake. And so that had the highest benefit for the cost. And but it does have a high cost, and that cost was estimated in that 391 to 837.
But is that the one embodied at number 2?
Yes.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
It's from Afton.
No.
Neighbors.
Is there an issue in terms of how long an alum treatment would last? If what we're doing is doing the alum treatment before we do a stormwater project upstream? Do we shorten the lifespan of the alum treatment?
Yes, the lifespan will probably be shortened if you're still having poor water quality coming into it.
Okay.
So, and again, that's fine, but we're anticipating 12 years, a 12-year period, or is that a little too ambitious?
I think that's what Tyler anticipated, around 12, 15 years.
12 to 15 years,
The managers
yeah,
implemented a in-lake alum treatment project up on Long Lake and Mononedai Pine Springs area.
yeah,
And that one, I think, is around 20 years and it's still.
Really? well, this is very appealing to me. It sounds like the way to go. And again, the closer to 391, the better we are with spending this money. I think we have, what is it, 770K available for this? No,
You have that unallocated for water quality improvement.
unallocated, right, okay. Okay, something to consider.
So the question tonight is really on the second page of that memo, is like, do the managers plan to implement a water quality improvement project down the lake? I'm hearing that the managers are. I'm not clear if the managers are planning to implement both the in-lake alum and the stormwater management, or kind of do the adaptive management monitoring so that you determine, does the in-lake alum get you where you want to go to and then not do the filtration system, or do you want to just do the filtration system anyway?
Well,
And is it a all or nothing on the infiltration system? Or the filtration system? You know, I mean, is it, I mean, it's, I think I heard you saying that one of the areas would be much more effective than two of the areas.
Correct. So the cost level here is for just that one
For
most
that,
effective one.
just for the one, okay.
right, and we could add that, but again, the benefit is lower. And I mean, could it help us? Sure. Could it extend the life of the alum treatment? Sure, but at what cost? It's considerably higher,
Right,
so.
Yeah. and I think there's a possibility of, you know, potentially looking at grants from somewhere and
Is
that
that,
type of thing, right?
is that
I
in
don't
the,
know.
is that in the cards? Do we have that?
Yes, the managers could apply for grants. I think it would score a little bit lower than the Goose Lake one, just because there isn't any public access to Downs Lake.
Right.
Mhm.
Public access makes
Mm-hmm,
projects look more favorably
okay.
with grant applications.
But it wouldn't hurt to try,
No, it won't hurt to try.
so we
Okay.
should do that.
So one strategy might be to just figure on, okay, we've got alum treatments to do every 15 years or 20 years or
But-
something like that.
By that time,
As
it'll be
opposed to-
time for these folks to pony up the money for the major repair on 15, right? You guys want to turn that into a 4-lane or something, right?
Sure, that's correct.
Mhm.
Okay. With no lights, right? Just straight.
So we don't have to use our crystal balls to look that far out into the future.
The thought,
Jerry, that's the
General.
biggest benefit here is if we were to build those smaller ponds, they would essentially be temporary until we did that 4-lane.
yeah. So we're spending a lot of money on that.
Mhm.
And you guys are gonna, you know, redo that, so.
Yeah.
Maybe full steam ahead on this alum, okay. What is required of us this evening, if that's what we want to do?
So, I mean, the reason this is before the board is because Washington County is looking for direction. They want to apply for a permit for the Watershed District to do some of these smaller improvements along Banyan Avenue. But they'd like some commitment or direction from the Valley Branch Board on whether they need to continue to design and try to incorporate these stormwater practices that would last for 15 years or so, or if they can just build the improvements to the road and work out with Valley Branch Watershed District, partnership plan to pay for Valley Branch eventually implementing these water quality improvements projects. One or the other, both.
All of the above. Mr. Klein?
Yes, Mr. President, yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to partner here. I think it'd be very beneficial.
I didn't know if you had gone to the bathroom or something. I'm glad you went. Thank you.
I'm still here.
Very good. So that's essentially what we want to do. So what's next? Do
So,
we have
Mr.
to?
President, how I understand it is you're directing legal counsel and the engineering staff to work with Washington County to develop some sort of agreement that would allow Washington County to build the project that they're planning right now, but then provide funds for Valley Branch Watershed District to implement a water quality improvement project at Downs Lake.
Yes, sir. That sounds reasonable.
Mhm.
Mr. Inspector, are you in?
Yes.
As soon as you smile, I feel more confident. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you. Okay, and does this require a motion, Counselor? Okay,
At
so we
this
can,
point.
okay, so we can direct you to follow up. Sir, we're good?
Appreciate the understanding and time.
Glad you could attend in this weather. All right then, make that so, John. We're good?
Yep.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, on that one. Okay. You too, Mr. Klein.
Yes, thank you much.
Now, for the Lovett property erosion concern. Did I miss something?
I just wanted to make sure Mr. Asmus is aware that his permit was approved in the consent calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to
I
make sure
didn't
you
want,
were.
I didn't want to tell him because I want him to stay with us and enjoy our.
I just,
Yeah, it was actually, that's why.
I just wanted to make sure you're
Thank you,
aware of
though,
it because
appreciate
we
it.
didn't name it. It just was consent calendar. We didn't
Yeah.
name it out as your permit. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanted to make sure you're aware. of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
It slipped under the radar.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is all on private property, right?
Yes.
And again, my first question is the concern, how serious is this?
Well, Mr. President, there are photos in the memo that show the extent of the erosion. The erosion is not new. It has been.
Years, maybe?
Over years.
Yeah.
The site opens to a landlocked wetland. It doesn't leave the property.
Okay. Yes, sir.
This question for John, do you know, has Mr. Lovett approached the SWCD about, state cost share or federal equip funds and with the normal cost share program for financial and then technical assistance through the SWCD on this at all?
Nice.
Because this is like the classic project that gets done under those programs.
I'm not aware of that. We can put them in touch with folks at Washington Conservation District.
Okay, because that would be my proposal is that we refer them to the SWCD for assistance and see what the outcome of that discussion is before we spend a whole lot of time.
Yes, sir. I completely
taking
agree
this
with
on.
that.
You're directing them where?
To the Soil and Water Conservation District, their state, this is, like I said, a classic project for state cost share funds or the NRCS equip funds, erosion control, so.
If I might add to that,
Yes,
this
sir.
is an egg site. And I'm aware of this erosion site. I saw this, prior to the Washington County project. And I noted that the was pre-existing erosion, so this isn't something that just happened after the Washington County project. Certainly, there's probably more erosion that's occurred over time because of the collapsing of the gully, but this was a pre-existing condition to any road projects there. I just wanted to make that note.
Thank you, sir. That's on his property. This is the property that he acquired after, the deal we struck with the purchasing.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm not sure when he purchased it. I think he said his parents lived there.
Oh,
This is near the reconfigured intersection of Manning Avenue and Old Highway 5, South 14, close to the Holiday gas station.
okay, so Mr. Brock made a good point, so we can direct you to have Mr. Lovett follow that up.
I'll do that.
And please, thank him for doing that. Anything else? We're good? Okay. That one was pretty simple. I like that. All right. Okay. Counselor, you're up.
I don't have any appraisals to share or would have been a close meeting. And I know John, as he shared, has spoken with some additional interested people. And they had some questions and hopefully I'll be meeting with them in early May. And John, were you hoping if they're interested to be able to order additional appraisals or?
So there's, Mr. President Managers, there are two property owners that are interested in appraisals that have not been ordered by the board. One is at Sunnybrook Lake. They just flat out would like the appraisal, and that's addressed as.
Or they were on board previously, right? With one of the properties that we wanted to acquire.
They are one of the properties that you'd like to acquire, but
They had held out.
they've held out and now it's an elderly woman that lives there. And
I remember.
So there's some,
And now our children are involved?
yes,
Okay.
that address is 7081 Joslyn Lane, in Grant. And then another property owner at Eden Park Pond would like to have a discussion with Attorney Torsat on
That's
how option could be written, whether that's a right of first refusal with very little money up front, or if it's something more like what the managers did with the property at Cloudwater Pond, where it was a large sum of money up front, and then a time period associated with it, and then the smaller portion at the end. And
Sure.
they have a lot of questions, so details that I guess I wasn't necessarily comfortable trying to answer. I'm not sure if it's really Valley Branch's responsibility to try to answer these questions, but I think Attorney Torsat would be much better equipped at trying to answer how a term could be negotiated than.
If we are running into, python swallowing the pig situation, one possibility of, having a first right of refusal might make that a little less, less extreme in terms of what we need to do to be able to purchase, but we would, that might give us a little more time. So that might be one of the things we favor, just as thought, not necessarily definitely that way, but that's a consideration.
Because these property owners are not looking to move.
Mhm,
They would like to stay in their house for at least 10 years,
mhm.
but since we made them aware that their house is at jeopardy of flooding, that led to these conversations.
Mhm.
We don't have to provide them snorkels. Sorry.
Be cheaper than buying the house. But may I have permission to add the Jocelyn Lane property to the appraisal list and have the appraiser?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if that requires a motion, but certainly we would like to direct you to do that, please.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, are we good? All right. Mr. Inspector.
Sean, managers, in the packet, there wasn't any work. We do have some updates. They're now, remember the Amthor project on Lake Elmo is essentially done. They have a little bit of cleanup to do on their neighbor's landscaping side, but the actual patio, stairway, riprap, boulder ball, and goose blankets all basically happened like the last week. So I'll get some photos and send them out. Just, I think the managers would probably be interested in that. Number of pre-cons here today for construction meetings with the lift station, the Met Council lift station, Woodbury, also the West Littleton Township street improvements today, and also the Manning, it's called Manning Apartments in our permits at Woodbury, right off Manning, just south of Hudson Road. It's actually the Meadows at Prairie Ridge is the name of the official site. We also had MnDOT on the line because it's a difficult site. It's right on the county road. And so getting construction traffic in and out of there will be pretty interesting. So a lot of in-depth discussion there about that project. Today, as you were, the Project Wrangler, the other Amazon site is up and running. Things are going well. They're doing a good job there, but I have had to be on their case about, because there's so much hauling going on Hudson Road down to Stagecoach and back, that they've had to have a number of street sweepers going.
They're
And-
doing that.
Yeah, they are. I had to
Okay.
put catch basin traps along Hudson Road. And they did shut down today when it started raining. It stopped because it got really greasy out there, but
Sure.
I can't count the number of trucks. I'm not sure how many side dumpers an hour are going in there, but it's gonna be more than 12.
What are those
maybe
warehouses?
20.
They're like 1,000,000 square feet each, right?
So they're hauling material in for the foundation of the, and most of the site is impervious. And they're hauling out topsoil and things, so it's quite an exchange going on, but you know, they're quite a ways through the whole thing. So if you get calls about trucks hauling, that's what's going on. Because MinDOT asked me about it today, which
Really?
I thought was kind of funny, but
MinDOT asked
they asked
you.
me about it.
Oh, boy.
Couple things. You saw that Engineer Hansen sent out that photo today that Bellwin did volunteer and do the burn at that memorial site.
My wife saw the
Yeah.
fire and she goes, Afton's burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's other Bellwin's doing burning in their prairie fields as well. And there's some down in Bayport going on. So there's quite a bit going on. They're kind of right at the edge of it now because everything's greening up. So
Right.
probably this was it this week.
Nice pics. Thank you.
With the wind.
Jeff took one.
Oh, you did
I
that?
just took one.
Fred took the other 4.
Nobody was wearing shorts,
Nobody was wearing shorts.
whatever.
And just one quick note, tomorrow morning, I am volunteering with Aaron DeRusha from the Conservation District. He is taking the Stillwater High School students to collect samples at Valley Creek at Belmont and Afton. And so I said I would help him out with that for a little bit tomorrow morning. So I'm
Very
gonna
nice.
go down there and give him a hand with that. It's not a big group, but
Not too early.
no, it's 9 o'clock. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
Any questions from the report or anything else
Rick?
that's going on?
You doing good?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. I've got a quick one. mThor, how is that coming along?
That one is almost done.
But it looks good?
Yeah, looks good. They need to clean up they used their neighbor. If you remember a year ago, their neighbor came here for a permit to redo the riprap boulder wall.
Yeah.
And then they cut out part of the driveway and then landscaped. Well, they had to use the neighbor's access to get to their project. So of course they kind of tore, I mean, obviously they had an understanding.
Little mess?
So they have some cleanup to do on the neighbor's side, but the
Yeah.
patio side is completed, the retaining wall is in. The landscaping's in.
How about the
They didn't do
uprights?
well, those are gone.
Okay,
And I know at some point they have to put up the temporary flood wall in order for us to document it, to say, yes, they have it,
right.
it does install, and then they can take it down and put it away. So that part's not done, but the construction portion of it's pretty much complete.
So they took away the uprights and then that
They
one
did.
wall remains.
They
Or
built
they-
a new, they used the base of that old patio. They
Right.
took the uprights out, took the base of the old patio, and then attached these pavers using some kind of silicone adhesive to adhere them to this old concrete base.
If it works,
We shall see.
yeah. If it's all right with you, maybe you could take a picture and email it to us
I will,
so we can see how pretty it looks.
sure, I'll do that.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Do the managers have anything else? Are you sure? Thank you, sir. All right then. Thank you, Mr. Inspector. That was very nice of you. Okay. Managers. The Metro Minnesota watersheds. Now, Vice President Dunn, did you?
I did attend that, yes.
Let us know.
Yeah, I left my notes at home because I grabbed the wrong packet when I was running out the door, but as usual, they covered a lot of material.
Dog ate my homework.
There were presentations from a lot of agency staff. Did you make that one, John? I attended virtually, so I can,
Okay.
I will recover my notes and I will send them by email. But it was a good session. They went through quite a bit of material. Jan spoke about the upcoming summer tour, which is way up in Roseau.
Yeah.
There's a bus leaving on Monday from St. Paul. I don't get home from my niece's wedding until that evening. So if any managers want to carpool all the way to Roseau really early on Tuesday, it'd be game.
How long does that one last? Because I was thinking about it, but I gotta run it by the boss.
Yeah.
See what she says.
3 days. It's June 24th through 26th.
The bugs will be out for sure.
The 24th of Tuesday. I think 23 is, here, I
On the
got,
9th, Rick and I are meeting with
Yeah.
the new commissioner for Ramsey County.
yeah, 24th is a Tuesday. So that bus, Jan incorrectly stated that the bus is leaving on the 24th. I said, oh, good, I'll be home. And then I checked with her, she goes, I misstated the bus would leave on Monday, the 23rd. Because that's such a long drive.
And then, of course, we're subject to whatever we do up there with the bus is our transportation, and then they bring us back up to the
Yeah.
2 days Wednesday.
So if I don't go, then I'll attend the Minnesota Watersheds board meeting virtually. If I can't make it to the tour.
So what is that? That's gotta be like a 6-hour drive?
Yeah, it's about 6.
Okay. I'll have to bring a stack of CDs or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the agenda looks like a little bit more and then consider
isn't the-
possibly.
If that isn't together yet, it's probably very close.
Mhm.
And Jan did speak positively about the sites that they're putting on the actual physical tour itself.
Mhm.
In addition for, classroom type sessions, I'm not sure yet, but I will check on that and
Yeah.
get that
I went last year to the one in the cities
right
here
here in the city.
and I was impressed with.
It was very good.
Yeah, the
Right.
program was
Yeah,
really
the,
good.
St. Paul.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And obviously there's accommodations up there, right? Okay. Well,
not that
as
far.
we get closer to that date, we'll discuss it further, if that's okay. And our next item is going to be the invitation to meet with Washington County Commissioner Cox. We would like to sit with Mrs. Cox and talk to her. I would like to have a meeting with you to see how we're gonna go about that, because I want to provide a presentation for her essentially. And Vice President Pereira wanted to attend. So the Vice President and I would like to meet with her and on her terms, of course, whatever is convenient for her. And we can give an idea, how we can help her, that sort of thing.
Mr. President, Vice President, would you like me to send out that invitation? I think you had talked about possibly drafting one, but
I was gonna revise the one that I already drafted for the legislators, but I haven't done that. I can do it early next week, like Tuesday, if you want. Or,
just let me know if you'd like me to do it. I'll do it. Or if
Okay.
I should.
why don't you do it, John, because I'm running around my head cut off these days.
I don't want Don to give something that's too obsequious.
It's so many syllables in that word.
My mom used to do that when I'd be late for school. I beg of you to let my son come into class. Whatever. Too much information. Sorry, folks. Okay. Yes, sir.
One thing, if I could, before we move off managers,
Please.
it's after April 15th. And so, I'm wondering if we could have a meeting, to talk about the whole easement issue and try to come to some
Did you-
resolution where we could bring that back to the board and actually,
Okay,
do
so
something.
we're gonna do this via subcommittee
yeah, that's what
with,
I'm asking.
Counselor? Yes, of course. I think
If we
that's a
could
good
get a
idea.
date set, for that, that would be great.
Okay, and then we can, start with the email process tomorrow. Good night, sir. Thank you. Drive carefully.
So
We
that'd
can,
that'd be great.
yeah, let's
Okay,
do that.
thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you.
Yep.
And then we'll find out who's available, and then, of course, perhaps you'd like to host, Counselor?
Happy to.
You have nice chairs. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Okay, we'll square that away. Okay, our next item, we covered everything. Mrs. Veerling, we're okay, right? Okay, just making sure. I don't want to make her mad. She'll send her kid after me. Wait, your kid too, right?
How fast are you going?
I didn't get kicked for that. I was on the phone. The wife called me. Did you forget the eggs and all that? And he turned on his cherries and I went, oh no, what did I do? Yeah. Okay. All right, with that said, will everybody be able to attend the May 8th and May 22nd meeting?
I unfortunately will not be able to make the May 8th meeting. My,
Scare your itinerary or something?
and then no, my fiance's mother, we're taking her to the opera for Mother's Day, and the only day that worked out was the Thursday. So that's
Locally?
right during the meeting. Yeah, Barber Seville.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think so.
Sorry.
And I will be not at the May 8th meeting as well, although I have planned to call in, and so I'll attend remotely
Which one, Rick?
on the 8th of May.
The eighth. Okay.
Yeah.
The Marriage of Figaro. I got it wrong. Okay, so then we'll have a quorum.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm good on
And
the
I
eighth.
assume that has to be notified. Suzanne,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
I can send you the address. Do you need the address or what?
Oh, you'll be with us electronically.
Yes,
Yes,
Right on.
Please.
Perfect. Yeah.
please do.
okay.
I'd call in from the opera, but I probably get shushed.
Oh, man.
Are we gonna talk
Yes, sir.
about May 22nd now?
Uh-oh, what's happening May 22nd?
I will be, on May 22nd, I will be 7 hours north of Winnipeg,
Oh, for your-
fishing my butt off.
oh, man.
Now, the lodge up there does have good internet. And it's same time zone. So if somebody wants to drive 13 hours to sit and visit with me, I'll welcome them with open arms.
You're just not gonna be in the middle of it. Yeah, I got a 26-incher.
No, I'll just tell the guys they need to be in by, we fish pretty hard, so going in by 6:30 or 6 is no problem.
Show up.
And that gets me out of cleaning fish duties too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's guiding, right?
No, but it's I bring my boat up there, so.
Oh, man, that's a drive. Okay. Well, then we'll still have a quorum, I believe. Okay, and then, the summer tour, we'll talk about that date as it approaches because I'm interested, but again, I don't know. It'll be short notice and that is a bit of a drive.
I'll find out from Jan or Maddie when
I don't know about the
the
bus.
agenda will be available if it isn't already.
Mr. President Manager, if I did include a link to the registration form, it doesn't, I didn't see a detailed agenda, but they did. List some sites and a copy of those.
Yeah.
One sheet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Somebody's phone. Last item. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.